Funding for the Lazy Bedhead channel was provided by viewers like you. Thank you.
I feel like I need to bring this up here. My boyfriend has the weirdest setup in history. I'm so sorry. I apologize also for my lack of riz today. Turns out putting on like a ton of makeup on your face and then rubbing it off, not using makeup wipes, by the way, because I'm poor. It hurts your face quite a bit. My eyeballs are crusty. So I need to take a bit of a breather on my face. So I apologize for the lack of riz. I'm taking it easy today. Also, I don't know really what to do with this setup at this point, because my boyfriend has his mic right here, so you can't see my boy L eating a banana like a fucking weirdo. This is just what I'm left with today. Whatever, it's fine. We're gonna make it work. Yep, I don't really know what you guys want me to say at this point. Stuff like this shouldn't really surprise you because the internet is weird, and so is life, apparently. This is one of those situations where you have to ask yourself, does life imitate art or does art imitate life? Honestly, at this point, I don't really question that anymore. I'm just trying to imitate the will to live. I mean, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say other than... Huh? Death Note, the musical, is proof that anything and everything can be turned into a musical with enough money, a stage, and enough highly concentrated crystal meth.
My name is Walter Hartwell White.
This is my perfect victory! That's right! I win!
Now, a while back, we went over and discussed Epic the Musical, which is proof in and of itself that a musical can work if its origins are a pre-existing property, right? I mean, how a lot of musicals that I really enjoy are already based off of pre-existing things. Most musicals that are out there are based on already pre-existing properties anyways, so it doesn't come too much as a surprise to me that Death Note the Musical exists, but it's just such an interesting choice. You know, as weird and wacky as the world of anime might be to some people, I feel like anime holds a special place in us and our fans' hearts, right? Because it teaches such simple moral values. Follow your dreams. Become the strongest. Thanos snap everyone. And if you want to know why this exists, then we should probably talk about what Death Note is, you know, for the filthy casuals, of course, not for a silly old me who hasn't seen the whole anime and hasn't actually read Death Note or anything. This part is a joke. I've seen the show, I've read the manga. I don't know why I said this.
Take me back,
Death Note is a psychological thriller manga that was written by Tatsumi Oba. In 2003, Death Note would make its debut in Shonen Jump magazines, where the story followed a high schooler named Light Yagami. Light is not your typical high school student, however, because not only is he dangerously smarter than most high school kids, but also he's got a notebook that kills people. Light Yagami was your typical straight-A nerd up until a mysterious book fell from the sky. This notebook, the Death Note, is the creation of the gods of death, aka Shinigamis. Shinigami in Japanese mythos is a type of kami or deity that acts like what the Western world would refer to as Grim Reapers. The only difference being is that Reapers collect the souls of people after they had died, while Shinigamis make people want to self-end. You know, I get at this point why the Japanese have a high, rate. It's got to do with, some demons. Death Note in the modern media is the most iconic anime series out there, getting multiple movie adaptations, a series of short stories afterwards, which were weird, and a Netflix adaptation. We don't talk about that one. Death Note is being constantly referenced in other anime and media, getting multiple YouTube parodies, some varying in quality.
This is like I'm a gay. Y'all get me?
Blasts her into the shadow realm, is the man guilty, and then hits a Gangnam Style.
I never want to think about you ever again. But not even in Japanese media. Death Note even gets referenced in Western media as well.
It's rare to find bloodthirsty vegetarians. I am a Shinigami.
Death Note is the story of a narcissist and an autistic man facing off against each other to see who can outsmart each other. Okay, that comment was a joke. But if L isn't autism-coded, then this bitch is. But Death Note is genuinely a smart story. It's talked about constantly still to this day, mainly because of how intense, interesting, and clever this thriller mystery story is. Not to mention, the mind battle between L and Light is so well written that honestly at this point you're kind of rooting for both characters in the story because although Light is a crazy sociopath, he has this weird sense of justice that is more so just taking the easy way out, which I think a lot of people who have been downtrodden can relate to. But meanwhile, L is such a fascinating character that you kinda hope that he ends up catching Kira before Kira kills him. For at least the first half of the manga, the story does portray Light as genuinely a bad person, but because he is fighting for something bigger than himself, and believes it to be for the betterment of humanity, and humanity is even grateful in a sense for the terrible things that he's doing, Light doesn't really see himself as a bad person. And in turn, neither does the audience to an extent. It's just such an interesting character study in taking the easy way out. You almost don't want him to fail, even if his methods are evil. I think L and Light represent both sides of the human condition when it comes to this inane sense of justice. One side that just wants all injustice to be snuffed out from the earth, Thanos snap style, and the other where you want justice to be fair and done right. It's even more satisfying when, spoiler alerts if you haven't seen Death Note, when the facade breaks and L is revealed as the killer. This sort of phase that he has fronted as not only wanting to catch Kira and be a good person, but also being smarter than everyone else because he is actually Kira, is completely destroyed in a matter of seconds, and he finally gets what's coming to him. Because ultimately, even if his intentions are good, he is becoming nothing more than the criminals that he kills. He's becoming what he's been trying to get rid of this whole time. And in a way, you kind of wonder if he had been successful in ridding the world of all criminals, would he have considered himself a criminal at all? Or was he so egocentric that even he wouldn't consider himself a murderer? But anyways, I could literally gush on and on about like the psychology, the dichotomy, the effectiveness of Death Note, and I could do that for hours on end. But instead I have to talk about the musical. Death Note the musical is one of the weirdest things that I've ever seen in my entire life. Although, I haven't seen Saw the musical yet, so my opinions might change after I get a chance to see that, because, like... What? Anyways, we're not here to talk about this psychological thriller. I already talked about that in a video. We're here to talk about this psychological thriller horror that's been turned into a musical. I know I said before that any property that already exists can be turned into a musical and still could work. But Death Note is just such a confusing choice. And I only say that because there is just so much that happens in Death Note that it would be strange to make like a 2-hour stage play to condense all of that, what happens into that short amount of time. And that's even the weirdest part about this, because they don't really do that. I have opinions. very conflicted opinions about this musical. I mean, there's so many good things about it, but also it is just so bizarre. So let's talk about what the hell this thing is and what happens in the musical. Light Yagami is your average high school student in some sort of class that has discussions that I don't think someone would have at a high school level.
王というものはひとたび誰かの手に落ちるとその時点から抑圧されてしまいます。王が抑圧されると自由は息ができなくなります。
Look, I'm just saying, if they're having like conversations about justice like this in school, I'm pretty sure it would make some manga parents upset. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me, teacher. I know we're having a college debate in a high school setting, but I need to break out into song now.
こんな議論が何になるのか正義はいつも力のある指導者が決めた基準なのさ
Anyway, so this first song slaps like hard. They start singing about where's the justice, where did it go? It's a banger, and I feel like it's like an anime opening when I'm watching like the Japanese stage performances. But listening to like the English versions is like really underwhelming, oddly enough. It's basically essentially if like an English vocalist tries to make like an English cover to a Japanese song. Sometimes it works. Other times it's just it just doesn't. Can I just point out like how weird it is to be watching essentially what is Japanese Broadway? I don't know if there's like a huge musical presence in Japan as there is in America with like Broadway in New York. But when I think of like Broadway and musical acting, I imagine that it's a little bit over the top. You know what I'm talking about when I say Broadway acting, right? The uncanniness of people sort of acting like people, but also not because they break out into song every 5 minutes. But for Japan, and keep this in mind, I've only seen like one Japanese musical, so this could be a complete overgeneralization. But their version of Broadway acting is just acting like anime characters in real life, and then occasionally cutting to singing an anime opening.
デスノートの名に恥じない裁きをああできるならくれ僕のこの手に And
look, I know that sounds stereotypical. I get it. But I swear to you, if you watch this thing, I'm not even joking. It's like everyone is trying to act like an anime character. This is essentially why the West thinks that everything that happens in anime is what happens in real life in Japan, because everyone on this Broadway is acting like anime characters. And I get this was a musical based on an anime, that's kind of the point, but at least Death Note is like somewhat grounded in reality. I don't know why everyone acts like this. So anyone who is a fan of Death Note would know that the most iconic character, the most iconic part of it is Ryuk, like undeniably, right? He's this big punk rock looking death god that looks so uncanny in this almost like human-like creature form. Now, there have been attempts to bring the concept of Ryuk into live-action form. Some of those attempts are good, others not so much. And then we almost had a pretty amazing attempt if the rest of the movie wasn't total dog shit. So how did they attempt to bring this into a Japanese Broadway? Well,
Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
There he is! There's my favorite white boy!
Ah! What the fuck?
毎日毎日同じことの繰り返しだよ
Oh my god!
I don't think there are words to describe what you are witnessing, but honestly, he ate.
She ate.
This is probably the most entertaining part of the show because Ryuk is literally just a homeless man, and I love him. I feel like this is almost intentionally meant to be a parody at this point of Death Note, and honestly, Now that I'm saying it out loud, that makes way too much sense. Death Note, the musical, plays pretty much beat by beat of the original story, except we get weird additional dialogue between characters. Like, Sayu gets a song about how much she loves her brother, and then his dad gets a song about how much he's a cop man. And weirdly enough, none of these songs actually really do anything for the plot because it never gets touched on ever again. A lot of this musical progresses through this constant ticking because of the 40 seconds it takes to kill someone with the Death Note. It's very thematical. And that's the thing, even if this thing is some sort of parody that's not meant to be taken too seriously, it does take homage to the original series that makes this musical kind of feel like it's trying to take itself seriously as, you know, an actual Death Note adaptation, but then you have songs completely dedicated to L and Light playing tennis, and it's like, how do you expect me to take this seriously? So Ryuk drops the Death Note to Earth, and Light picks it up and thinks it's a funny shit post and is all like, you know what, no, this is edgy and gay. But then he thinks to himself, hold on, I'm edgy and gay. This is exactly what I've been waiting for. So I think the main difference between Death Note the musical and the manga and the anime is that Death Note at least tries to give Light some sort of sophistication. Like, yeah, he has his crazy moments, but it's very few and far in between, that even though he has his, like, crazy yandere moments, that I can still somewhat take him seriously, right? Look, what I'm saying is that Light Yagami is an evil anime villain with an evil anime laugh, but he doesn't go, like, full yandere at any point ever. The musical is definitely, like, playing this up, and that's fine maybe, but I can't help but think that it kind of paints Light in this more sadistic role, and I don't think that was ever really the point to his character. I don't think Light did what he did out of sadism. I just think that he was a narcissistic, egotistical madman who thought he knew what was best for everyone and that the world revolves around him. This Light kind of gets a kick out of the power he's given. Not so much because he can enact his form of justice, but more so the enjoyment he gets out of killing people who get in his way. So Light is singing about being a hero, and we cut to his father. And this song basically acts as a time skip of Light killing a bunch of people and the police investigating the murders. And we see the names being written on this projector behind them, and it kind of goes hard, I'm not gonna lie. So the police discuss getting L involved pretty much immediately, and unlike in the show and in the manga, nobody has any objections or suspicions of this guy, like, at all, which is totally fine. We don't need conflict. We only have about, like, 2 hours left in the show. We need to make sure that we spare that time to make sure that L and Light can sing about playing tennis. So Light is writing names in the Death Note, and my favorite part of the show comes back.
Yo.
I love him so much. Can I help you? Would you like to be on camera? Come here. There he is. This is what you get. You said you want attention, you keep trying to give attention, and then when I try to give it to you, this is how you act. You fuck you too.
Hey, how y'all? Get your fucking dog, bitch! It don't bite. Yes, it do! Get the...
俺は死神だ。うわ。
Can someone give this man an award? Any award? I don't care, so long as it's important. So this is where the show kind of differs from the manga. While yes, there is a sense of worship for what Light is doing, it starts mostly underground. Whereas in the show, it feels like everyone is rewarding Light from the jump. The public does give him the name Kira, but it wasn't because of any cult-like worship. What? He keeps tapping at me. What do you want? It's just what the news and media does when reporting on a case to over-sensationalize a murderer and give them the recognition and attention that they crave. But no, in the show, it explains that the public gave him this name in a sense of, like, honoring him as a god of justice and judgment. Also, Misa Misa sings a whole song number for Kira. the entire ensemble itself and Light constantly reference him as a god and a savior. But remember, Kira means killer in Japanese, so the public, the police, everyone is afraid of Kira. But in this show, they pretty much worship him almost immediately. I do love this next song though with Light and Ryuk, because basically it's just a song where Ryuk calls Light a bitch boy for like 3 minutes, and it's so funny. He's not special, he wasn't chosen, Ryuk literally just got bored.
Thank you, baby.
Anyways, now it's time for the K-pop number.
I'm ready, yes I'm ready.
I'm ready, I'm ready. あなたもそうでしょ。
Wait, was Misa a pop artist? I thought she was a model. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Honestly, I don't care because this song fucking slaps. And the whole time that this song is going on, Ryuk is just jiving to it in the background. I can't stand it. I love him.
ミサってすごいよね。
すごいね。いや、でも元気いっぱいだよな。
I love him so much. Sayu has this conversation about how bad Kira is, but her brother is so great, which is ironic because her brother is Kira. This is a nothing song, but it does contrast with Misa and Sayu singing about what their version of a hero is. It is a nice number, but it's ultimately pretty forgettable because, you know, what we got before that was this.
I'm ready. あなたもそうでしょ。
And I don't even know how you would outdo that. So Interpol ends up making this video broadcast saying like he's L, he's trying to bait Light, but then it's revealed that this guy actually isn't L, and then the real L shows up. I will say this, I love this set. Like this entire stage is really fucking cool. It's this rotating stage with a projector behind them. The simple sets indicate different settings in this kind of avant-garde art piece. And I think it's very simple, but it's also very effective. Especially when we get to a part later where it's at a train station and they use like lighting effects to indicate a train passing by. It's actually so fucking cool. Anyway, so we get to see L pretty much immediately, unlike in the anime or the manga. And they got probably one of the most incel-looking people to play this man. And look, this is nothing against the actor, by the way, because this song slaps and goes hard. This person probably has like some of the best like solo songs, and I think his voice is actually pretty amazing. But also, oh my god. Listen, I know I said earlier that Japanese Broadway acting is just trying to act like an anime character in real life, but this is just so uncanny. Like, the direction that this guy was given was just like, okay, you see this guy? You see him? Roleplay that, alright? Light, your direction is act like a male yandere. Ladies, be women. As for Ryuk, he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
I'm ready. あなたもそうでしょ。
You know what the ensemble reminds me of in this show? It reminds me of the ensemble in Sweeney Todd. Fucking uncanny. So Light and his dad have a conversation about justice, and Ryuk does whatever this is.
あ、リンゴリンゴリンゴリンゴリンゴリンゴリンゴ。ビエー。かっこいい。リンゴリンゴリンゴリンゴ。
But the point of the whole song is for the both of them to sing about how bad Kira is and becoming God or something. By the way, this man is singing his fucking heart out. Don't just give this man a medal. Give this man my soul.
越えてはならない一線がある
Light and L and the police get a song about catching each other, but it's just like L's song, but with more people. Light is snooping through his dad's police files, and Ryuk makes the offer of giving Light Shinigami eyes. So remember that whole arc in Death Note where Ray Penbar is investigating the Kira case, but then Light figures out who he is and then kills him, but not before getting all of the names of the FBI agents hunting him down. But then he meets his wife and she's working with an alias, but then Light tricks her into giving him her real name and then he makes her kill herself, and it's like a really sad moment. It's a part in the story where it kind of makes you question whether or not Light is actually doing the right thing, because not only is he killing criminals, but now he's just killing innocent people who effectively are just getting in his way. Like, it's the moral gray area of this anime, right? It's trying to emphasize to you that, yeah, maybe what Light is doing is good in like a simplistic way of thinking, but he's also killing people that don't agree with his methods, so he's not a good person. Well, we get that, but for whatever reason, it's this dude named Halle Bell? I don't know why they changed his name from the... I guess it doesn't really matter, who cares. Light ends up finding this guy with a Google search. Literally, this character only exists in the show to give Light the upper hand and get rid of the FBI, and then he immediately dies. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want a moral conflict and a sense of disgust against what Light is actually doing by killing these innocent people? Nah, sorry. We had to make enough time to make sure that Elle and Light got to sing about playing tennis. So the Kira task force questions whether or not they want to stay on the case, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Cut to the ending song for Act 1. Everyone's singing about how grateful they are to have Kira. And this is what I'm talking about. The thing that makes Light this egotistical maniac was that in the beginning, he had a lot more pushback. But it seems like everyone in this show just sucks his dick, except for like the one guy who looks and acts like this. But it's not like Light is a likable character either, because he too also acts like this. Like, my options here are incel or crazy yandere. Who do I want to win? I don't know, because they kind of both act like fucking weirdos. Like, when you have everyone singing about how great you are and how much of a god you are, I think that you have some reason to be stroking it to yourself just a little bit. End of Act 1. So Act 1 ends with Misa getting her own death note, even though we haven't seen her since like her own song number like 30 minutes ago. So I guess we have to expand on that now. Oh my god. Holy shit. Fuck. Okay, I haven't gotten the chance to talk about this, but Rem is fucking fire. Why is her actress so goddamn hot? Jesus Christ, just spread your wings? Whatever this is, just spread it all over me. So Misa wants to meet Kira and explains that Kira killed her parents' murderer who has been awaiting trial, so she's pretty determined to meet him. So she makes the deal with Rem to have Shinigami eyes to find out who he is. So Shinigami eyes have the ability to see people's name and lifespan. But if that person doesn't have like a visible name or lifespan, that means they're also a Death Note user. So anyways, Rem has this song about loving Misa or some shit, and yeah, that's pretty much it. This is the lesbian love anthem of the show, by the way. So Elle and the police finally meet, and it's probably the weirdest thing that I have ever seen. Look, I love this little weirdo, right? I adore him in the manga, and I adore him in the anime. But this is just too much for me. Every scene has to break out into some new song. And I get that's like the standard for musicals, right? But I feel like in this moment, when you're accusing his son of being Kira, you can have a normal conversation. Also, did Elle know about Soichiro's son the whole time? Because how would he suspect Light is Kira if he hasn't even met him yet in this show, or even knows about him until he finally meets his dad? My assumption is he's just stalking this fucking family. So L reveals himself to Light with a fake name, and they have basically like a diss track musical rap battle number. It's amazing. Misa sings another song dedicated to reaching out to Kira. So instead of a copycat video like in the anime, she writes a song. This second half of the show is really weird because it dedicates songs to completely weird things that either are minor events in the anime or just do not happen. Like, I know I've been like alluding to and making jokes a lot to this, right? But I swear to God, in Act 2, L and Light have an entire song singing about playing tennis. And now we get a song to reach out to Kira. But then this broadcasting station aired a segment that says that there's a second Kira on the loose, and they left a message for the news anchor to read out to the first Kira? Okay, so I think what's happening here is that not only is she writing a message to the first Kira to send to the news, but she is also making a song for Kira to reach out to him again? I don't know what the fuck is happening right now. I guess it's another song about love or some shit. And honestly, the more that this show goes on, the more that I wish that Light and Misa would just fuck the Shinigamis at this point. L is a stalker boy and he has an edgy moment by himself, and then we cut to the ensemble singing about a second Kira on the loose. And they're not scared at all. They're actually like, super excited. Also, Ryuk punches Light in the head in this scene, and it's very funny. So Misa and Light meet and immediately give each other their death notes. Rem looks like she's about to throw hands in this moment. Oh, she can throw my hands any damn day. I'm sorry, I don't mean for this whole thing to get so horny. I guess musicals just do that to people sometimes. A woman should give blowjobs on football Sunday. So Misa proposes that the both of them date, but Light very obviously just wants to use her for her new Shinigami eyes. Also, these two get to sing a song together on stage again, and it's the best vocal duets of the show because, I mean, look at them, they're amazing. Anyway, so I don't know how the fuck this happened, but somehow L figured out that Shinigamis exist. Keep in mind, he doesn't know that Misa is involved in this and only suspects Light at this point. He doesn't have any leads or has questioned Light at all. He has had a total of one conversation with Light thus far. How does he keep coming to these conclusions? We also get another song from Light's dad about how much he loves his son, but also, I guess now he's also starting to suspect Light for no reason. Now, keep in mind, in the manga, in the story itself, Light eventually does get pretty, involved in the Kira investigation because he's trying to pass off not being Kira by trying to catch Kira. In the show, he does not do this. He does not get involved in the investigation at all. Light isn't as heavily involved in this investigation like he is in the anime. L in the show has only had one total conversation with Light thus far, and somehow Light is already the main suspect of both L and his father. So either Light is just really bad at hiding his psychotic tendencies, or L is just taking a really lucky guess. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want more interactions and investigative work from L so it makes sense as to how he keeps coming up with these crazy theories about who Kira is? Sorry, we needed to make the time to make sure that L and Light get a chance to sing about playing tennis. Oh my god, we're actually here. The joke makes sense now. So did you want an intense battle of wits between a psychopath and a genius? Well, this is it. This is the moment, and they're playing tennis. I'm not even gonna lie, this song is actually kind of weak, but I think it's just so funny that we have a whole song dedicated to them just playing tennis. It's like, oh my god, do you remember that time in the anime that they played tennis that one time? This is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Also, Ryuk calls L a weeaboo in this show, and it's really fucking funny.
タクじゃねえかよ。
ありがとう。
Okay, otaku, fucking whatever.
それは後でのお楽しみ。いた。
I'm sorry. What the fuck was that? So they do that whole scene where Misa sees L, so now she knows what his real name is, so Light tries to contact her, but L has her phone and then tells him that Misa was arrested. L is just really good at making predictions, I guess, because there's no evidence of Shinigamis, yet he somehow knows that Shinigamis exist. Also, even though Light and L have only now had 2 conversations together, they're somehow now magically just best friends? How did we get here? Act 2 has a worse pacing issue than Act 1. So Misa is giving Jesus symbolism as she basically spills the beans almost immediately. I know she keeps saying in this song that she'll never give up anything to give up Kira or incriminate herself. She doesn't do a good job at that though.
キラはこの世界をもっと安全な綺麗なところにしようとしてるの。道を歩いていてもひったくりに合わないような世界。ドアに鍵をかけなくても大丈夫な世界。愛がいっぱいなの。悪いやつも恐怖も闇もない。
ライト、光だけの世界ですか?
Misa, you're a simp. So after 4 days of being crucified, Misa gives up her ownership of the Death Note and forgets everything that happened. Not that that would actually do anything, considering she already has left so much physical evidence behind that she is the second Kira anyways. So it's not like that would matter in the grand scheme of things. Rem, you're a simp. So after Rem sings her foot fetish song of the show, Misa forfeits the Death Note and Rem goes running back to Light. So, pause. So at this point in the show, we are 2 hours in, Misa is captured, Light is still a suspect, L is effectively winning the plot, and we have 30 minutes left. Keep in mind that at this point in the anime, there would still be like 20 episodes left of lore. So I have to ask, how the hell is this show gonna sum up 20 episodes in the last 30 minutes? And the answer to that is, it fucking doesn't. Light essentially calls Rem a simp, and she agrees to write L's real name down to save Misa? But at this point, Light has no interest in using Misa beyond having Shinigami eyes, and Rem knows that and is still like, anything for her, I guess I'll just leave you, clearly abusive boyfriend, with her, and then I'll just turn into sand, I guess. So the new plan is to get Rem to write L's name and then write essentially what happens in his last moments or something. And this will somehow save Misa from police captivity? But again, no one won't because they already have so much physical evidence of her being the second Kira. So like, killing L in this moment actually won't save her or do anything. At least in the anime, Light has this plan for Misa to wipe her own memory, for him to wipe his own memory, and then do everything they can to act innocent because they don't have any physical memories of them doing anything related to Shinigamis or the Death Note or being Kira at all. And by doing that, they essentially clear their own names to L and convince him that they're not actually Kira. In this show, they have not done that even remotely in the slightest. They don't even attempt to try to like come up with some sort of alibi or defend their own innocence. They're just like, well, you think I'm Kira? And then that's it. They don't attempt to try. But even though I say all of this, none of that even remotely matters because somehow this works. And the only reason this ends up working is because we only have 30 minutes left. I'm sorry, did you guys want a well thought out, complicated plan that involves 2 death notes, memory loss, arresting someone else for being Kira, regaining that memory through the death notes, and saving Misa and clearing their names entirely? Sorry, we actually needed to make more time to sing a song about playing tennis. Okay, yes, you guys get it already. Whatever, I guess it works anyway, and then Elle and Light meet up at some warehouse somewhere, and Light just tells Elle everything. You know, this musical doesn't do a great job in making Elle look like Light's equal in terms of intelligence. He just more so comes across as a massive creep. Oh, I'm sorry, did you want a whole somber moment where Elle goes on top of the rooftop in the rain and realizes that he can't beat Light, and then he dies knowing that he was right all along but just couldn't prove it? Sorry, we needed to make more time for Elle shooting Light in the face. Oh, I'm sorry, did you guys want... You know what? Fuck it, just shoot yourself in the face so we can end this dumb musical. So now that Misa has forgotten everything, Elle is dead, Rem is dead, we have 5 minutes left. How is Light gonna get his comeuppance? Ryuk just kills him because he got bored again.
でも俺飽きちゃったんだ。また毎日同じことの繰り返しだよ。ノートに名前を書いて人が死ぬの待つ。書いて待つ。書いて待つ。書いて待つ。書いて。退屈だよ。
I am not even kidding. That's how the show ends. Ryuk was just like, nah, you're boring, and I'm just gonna write your name in my book now. I don't care anymore. And at this point, I don't care either. I mean, to be fair though, I think this is actually more in alignment with what happens in the manga. The ending of the manga and the ending of the anime are very different. Light does get caught in the end in both stories, but in the anime, he gets to run away and die out in a stairwell somewhere. Whereas in the manga, he begs for his life like a bitch. Again, it's that facade of sophistication and intelligence breaking down almost immediately. And in that sense, I actually enjoy this ending to the manga quite a bit. And I actually really like that this is what they went with for the show. It's too bad that they rushed everything else. See, Light was begging for his life to Ryuk out of desperation for his own. When he's exposed as Kira, he asks Ryuk to kill everyone around him because he can't admit that he lost. And Ryuk kills him for getting desperate enough to want to rely on a Shinigami to save him. Plus, I'm sure doing so would just theoretically save Light, and if a Shinigami uses their Death Note to save another person's life, that'll then turn them into sand. Hence why Rem dies in the anime and in the show, because she uses the Death Note to save Misa's life, which is not how you're supposed to use the Death Note, so she gets turned into sand and dies. Unlike Rem, Ryuk isn't gonna stick his neck out for someone who clearly lost, so he just kills him. But here in the musical, he just kills Light because he got tired of the same shit over and over and over, and just kills him because he doesn't want to deal with it anymore, even though he's the one who dropped the book and started this whole thing to begin with? Like, what the fuck, Ryuk? The show kinda ends on this somber note. Light wanted to be a god, and at the same time, he died just like any other human would. Desperate, begging for his life, and with the hope to make the world better, but ultimately being remembered as a serial killer instead. It is really weird to see the show end like this, but then again, once we get to like the near arc of Death Note and Elle isn't there anymore, the entire story just kind of drags on, so I'm kind of glad that it just ends here and I don't have to go through the whole Mikami bullshit. Thank fucking God. In conclusion, I love this thing. It's so weird. It's so experimental and different, and I love it, like, a lot. Yeah, I've been making fun of it, but I honestly think that it is so weird in a good way. I mean, it definitely pales in comparison to the anime adaptation of the manga, which has some of the best soundtracks of all time, but it's clearly taking the material and trying to do its own thing. And yeah, it copies from the anime in terms of its own delivery and direction, but it still has its own story about a boy who thought he wanted to be a god, but dies human all the same. And I think it's pretty fun. Funnily enough, Death Note the musical found an audience outside of Japan when it was put on at the West End London Theatre this year. I actually haven't seen any live recordings of it or anything, so if y'all have seen this musical, please tell me what you think of like the English version in the comments below. And if you guys have an opportunity to go see it live, to like my 6% of the audience that lives in the United Kingdom, go see it and tell me what you think of it. Reminder to add Rem from Death Note the Musical on my cost playlist, because yeah, I would like to thank you guys for supporting the videos thus far for October. These are probably some of the most fun I've ever had making videos, and I can imagine that this one's just gonna be fucking chaos. We only have one last video for October. I know, it's sad. I'm sad about it too. But remember what I said, I celebrate Halloween all year round. So by the time Halloween is over, I'm just gonna live the rest of the year in denial. And if you guys do like content kind of more in this style, I'm more than happy to make content like this, because it's easier on the soul. Of course, that's not gonna replace the highly scripted stuff, but it's just nice to kind of like sit back and act like an idiot for an hour. Anyways, I think that's gonna be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Who the fuck are you? Oh, this is why Death Note the Musical is an unexpected masterpiece. I guess go watch that, I guess. Recommendation, I don't know what this video is about, but you should watch it anyway. Special cameo call out, I guess. Bye.